Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
Lance Cayko is our Amazing Authority today, and he's inside the Amazing Authority podcast. He smiles on occasion, but it takes a certain trigger, and I'm going to have to find that in today's interview. He's in Colorado. I'm in Thailand today, and we're going to have a conversation about his life, his successes in business, and his love of rubber chickens. That it's here. I knew I'd get him to smile. I knew it. It just took a little work. Lance, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. It's good to be here.
Yes, it is. Now, behind you, you're in your shop. And that's an optimal place to be interviewed. And you also have your own podcast.
Yeah, I think so. People they really gravitate towards this background. I'm like still shocked that they like it. I don't know if it just feels
because it's different.
Yeah, edgy or something like that. Yeah. I'm sitting on our mezzanine table where we do our podcast, where we meet with all of our building, architecture, development, all kinds of clients with all the things we do, nonprofit stuff even. And the shop is where all of our construction stuff happens. Meaning that's where we, procure all of our materials and keep all of our tools, and it looks cool. It's industrial, and then above us is the architecture firm. So we're kind of all sandwiched. We're literally and metaphorically vertically integrated.
I can see that. You got the air con on. I've got mine blasting. It's late at night here. Well, not late. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock in the evening, and I've got my air con on full blast because it was hot today. And I think air conditioning is the best invention of the last 120 years. I know that. So you know that about you because you're an architect by trade. Is that correct? Or a builder?
You keep going. If you just keep guessing, I'll just say yes to everything, probably, Mitch. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, professional basketball player now.
Close.
Emeritus? No.
Fisherman. Yep. Close.
Fisherman.
You're close, man.
Okay. All right.
Some kind of sport.
I was casting the line somewhere and had to catch. So
yeah, exactly.
Freshwater or saltwater?
Freshwater. Yeah. I'm one of these weirdos that will put a ruck on my back, a backpack, 50 loaded with 50 pounds of gear, camera equipment, fishing gear, and all that kind of stuff. And I will start at 9,000 feet above sea level and end up somewhere around 11 or 12, depending on the hike. And I chase these majestic trout that are in the most pristine waters in the world, all the way up at the Continental Divide, like 12,000 feet in the air.
Wow. You're the first person I've ever heard talk about that. And the salmon are of a different caliber than what we get at the market?
The trout are. Yeah.
The trout, sorry.
Right. Yep. They're a salmonoid for sure. Yep. And honestly, I mean, those fish up at that altitude have a very specific diet. It's mostly scuds is what they eat. So it's a very small freshwater, microscopic shrimp. And so it leaves there, because it's a crustacean, technically it is like pink. Those, depending on the lake, they're pink or they're orange. And then when they eat them, all the keratin goes into their meat, and it looks and feels and tastes like some of the most, what you would call salmon meat, essentially. It's just a delicacy. Yeah, it's incredible. I had some clients out. I have these new clients that moved from New York City, and my wife and I had them over for dinner. And that's what I fed them. I gave them the full Western treatment. We fed them fresh trout, elk, and bison.
I have never had elk or bison. Trout I've had, but probably not the pristine trout that you're referring to. That sounds like a delicacy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
And how do you get to 9,000 square feet?
Sorry?
How do you get to 9,000 square feet?
9,000 feet above sea level?
Yeah, I'm sorry, not square feet. Here I am, an architect. No, how do you, that's a big home. How do you get to 9,000 feet?
Yeah. Well, a lot of those, so those, you can access the trailheads typically around here at about 8 or 9 thousand feet, right? So you're driving.
Okay, you could drive to them. All right.
You can drive to that, but then from there, the road stops and then your feet start, and
Okay.
it's on you to get up to the rest of the way. Yeah, exactly.
So all right. So then and you do this solo or do you do this with other people?
About half and half, I would say. So like this weekend, I could not convince anybody to go on a quote unquote death march with me. And that's what my buddies call them, right? Because you're exerting probably 3 to 4 thousand calories on one of these hikes. Because a nine going from 9,000 to 11,000 feet, there's a couple different things that happen to you. I mean, the atrophy that you experience because of the low oxygen in the air at that altitude is just something else that'll kind of really set you back as a person, unless you're like me and you do it 2 to 3 times a week. High altitude athletes are just like on a different level of athletes. There's this guy who is a sort of I'm make fun of that I'm like in this fake competition with him. He doesn't even know who I am. His name is Cameron Haynes. And my business partner was telling folks that and me that like, oh, this guy could keep up with you. And I'm like, Cameron Haynes from Montana, who does these trail runs, he finishes his trail run where I start. He goes from 7 to 9. I'm going from 9 to 11. So half the time I take people, if I can convince them to come on one of these crazy death marches with me, and half the time I can't convince them. For example, we had I call it Camp Uncomfortable 2 weekends ago. I invited like 9 of my college buddies out, and only got one to show, and then one of my other friends who's local here showed up, and we went on Saturday, had a great time. It was kind of one of those journeys. We went from 9 to I think 11, 2 or something, and then the distance was about like 12 miles round trip in one day, and the second guy dropped out. So it was just down to 2 people on Sunday for the second one. So it's tough to keep people around doing that stuff, but I enjoy it. You can check out all the adventures on Fishing with Lance. I'm the Colorado's #1 fishing YouTuber at this point.
Yeah, I saw that, and certainly we'll look into that. I have fished saltwater one time for bonita in the Redondo Beach Harbor, which is a beach city in Los Angeles County, and I think you have to have a real love for fishing because I didn't feel very well going out on the boat, so that left an impression. So the beach for me was volleyball, but that's the Southern California way.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the design business, architecture business, and I presume you build?
Yeah.
Got a shop right there, and that isn't for show.
Well, it kind of is actually. I mean,
Well,
you
for
like
this
it,
case,
Mitch.
yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's different.
The clients like it when they come in. My son was even making he's an artist, and I commissioned him to make this beautiful art, and it was sitting on the shop floor. Man, that was like a hook, line, and sinker for any potential clients that came in. They were like, "This is like creativity central." I'm 42. When I was 13, I tried working on the farm with my dad. I grew up in Northwest North Dakota, a very rural area between a sugar beet farm and a cattle ranch. And on the sugar beet farm, we were such poor farmers. We had to like hand water everything. It was crazy. And the work was real hard, but I wasn't adverse to the hard work. What I was adverse to was my dad's attitude. And we just did not get along at all. It was that typical sort of teenage versus dad sort of thing. I lasted about a week, and I just can't do this anymore. I'm going to go call your best friend up. He's a general contractor. I'll see if I can just pick up garbage. I'd rather pick up garbage than
work for your dad. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just awful. And and so I did. I called his best friend, Bruce, his best friend, said, hey, I got these 80 roofs. We got a huge contract. We're going to do one roof a day. You can be my gopher. I'll pay you $7.25 an hour. And I was like, oh, cool. What is a gopher? He goes, oh, well, you're going to go for this and go for that. When you're done going for all the things, and you can get up on the roof, you can learn how to roof. And Mitch, I was the best gopher Bruce ever had. Hands down, because I wanted to learn how to do it.
Sure.
And so I just got completely addicted to the idea of building. And I also experienced working with my first entrepreneur ever in my life, right? And that was just kind of a word that I didn't really understand until sort of even years later. Bruce, I got the Rich Dad Poor Dad experience without ever reading that book. I read the book maybe only it's about 10 years ago, and reflecting on it, I went, oh, wow, I had the Rich Dad Poor Dad experience. My dad was a farmer, poor dad. Rich dad was Bruce. He had no anxiety around money. It wasn't that he was like making money hand over fist and had all these toys and huge mansion or anything. It was just there was a vastly different approach and mindset to money. And so I just worked so hard for Bruce. About halfway through the summer, he pulls me aside, and because I think he saw some potential in me, he didn't see other people, and he goes, how much do you think, am I paying? How much do you think I'm charging the owners for every hour I'm paying you?" And I go, $7.25 an hour. And he laughed, and I was embarrassed. And then he explained the multiplier, right? No, I'm charging the owners 2 to 3 times your labor. And I thought, I said, isn't that immoral? And then he explained, no, this is how it works. There's overhead, there's profit, there's risk, there's insurance,
Insurance.
oh my God, insurance, right? Yeah, just you can imagine, tools, you name it. Things are gonna go wrong. He's got to pay for it. I was just like, oh wow. And then I saw the non-anxiety to money. By the end of the summer, Bruce pulls me aside and he says, "What do you want to be?" And I go, "I want to do what you do. Like, how do I do what you do?" And he goes, "Well, next summer you don't work for me. After you go work for a different contractor and learn a different trade, and you got to do that every summer." So I did that up until I was 20. I even went to technical college for building construction technology, and I was on track to be a builder first. And then our capstone project in tech school was we had to build a house together, and the word architect popped into my head. Never really thought of that word. And as a 20-year-old guy, I had this light bulb go off. I emphasize that part because, like, I have 20-year-old children
Okay.
who just are schlepping along and not really like having these sort of epiphanies. At least I don't think. And it went, oh man, if I like school suddenly. Like, what if I became an architect next? Then I could get the clients first because that's how it works. So, you design the house first, then you build it afterwards, and most of the time.
Vertical
And
integration.
yeah, and I thought, wow, I would be like unstoppable. I could outcompete every general contractor, I bet. So I applied to North Dakota State University, 70 miles north, got in, accelerated in that program, graduated number 1. And then one more word came into my head, Mitch. They were in my 4th or 5th year. And it was, oh, developer, real estate developer. Like, that's who hires architects for big commercial stuff. And man, I should be that too. Like, I got to be that one day. So graduated, came down to Boulder, got laid off during the Great Recession because of 2 schmucks who couldn't figure out how to run an architecture business. It bore me and my business partner from that. We started in like the classic garage style, except it was an apartment. We've been going strong from 2010 to now 2025, 15 years. We've gone from 2 to 10 staff members, and then vertically integrated. F9 Productions is our architecture company. F14 Productions is our general contracting firm. And F12 is our real estate development firm. So we do all 3.
And then you hire the subs.
We hired the subs. I had like a construction manager, but I just got tired of his attitude. And he was such a stickler. He was losing us business that I fired him happily like a couple months ago.
So you're the sub. I mean, you hire the subs now.
Yep. So Alex and I run our own jobs. We each bring in different clientele into the architecture firm, and then we conquer and divide, and we keep those same clients through the building process that we select. Like, we're sort of we get to, that's really cool too, is we get to actually just procure the clients we want specifically to build. We'll design for almost anybody. That's pretty short and sweet process usually, but the build process can be, for instance, on these two houses I'm building right now, they have budgets between $2 and $3 million. They're like 24, 25, 26 month builds. Plus we got to warranty it. So.
Oh, well, those are luxury homes then, especially if Colorado is not a cheap state. I understand. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. We're mini California. That's all I was going to say.
Well, I was there once. Well, I've been there to Colorado. Well, actually about 3 or 4 times. come to think of it. But I had a former sister-in-law that lived where the Red Rocks were in where's that?
You're close. Keep going.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, outside of Denver. And I found some of the homes to be beautiful. I know we were considering that as a potential move because my ex-wife was a lawyer and they had California had reciprocity with Colorado. We came very close to making the move. And glad I did now for reasons because I'm not with her anymore, and that would have been a bit of a challenge. But the scenery was just beautiful. There's nothing like Colorado. It's breathtaking, especially
Yeah.
if you're into the outdoors world. I don't think there's a nicer place in the U.S.
Yeah, I agree. I wish my family would agree. They should visit more. Still live in North Dakota. It's a nice place up there, but it's not Colorado.
Not the same. So you started this firm. Now, what makes you different? Is it because you're totally vertically integrated? Because typically you're one, but not all. I mean, you've
Yeah.
started at the lowest level, and then now there isn't any higher. I guess if you owned the bank, that would be the next. It's like, okay, then you control the financing. That would be one more step in the ascension model.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty obvious, in my opinion, about how we're different. But the non-obvious stuff is we pick up the phone, we email back, we text, we communicate. That
Oh my
is,
gosh.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is shocking, Lance. You actually call people back?
Yep. Sometimes in the same hour. It's pretty crazy.
Oh
Yeah.
my word.
And no matter what, no longer than one business day for sure. Yeah. Your audience is hopefully hearing that dripping sarcasm, and if you're watching on YouTube, looking at our expressions, but it's that I had to emphasize that because that has been like the pretty much big difference with
Well,
us
that is a
versus
key
all the other.
differentiator is customer service, being courteous. And it's some people in a different generation than I grew up in make a big deal about talking on the phone as though they're doing you a great service to talk on the phone. If I'm giving my money to somebody, I need a response. I want to know. Sometimes it requires a phone call because there are nuances that go way beyond an email or a text.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that's if you go on if anybody goes on LinkedIn and they look me up, first name Lance, last name Cayko, Cayko, you'll see that my preferred pronouns are positive reactionary. And what that really means is it's like it's sort of a punch back at those two schmucks that laid me off and then spawned me, this spawn of entrepreneurialism. Is I just it was very the path forward was it was like as difficult as it was easy. What was difficult was the economy sucked, right? When we got laid off, it was a great recession. It was hard to get clients. We had no built work. We weren't
Was
even
this
licensed.
2008?
Yeah, 2008. Yep, exactly. 2008 to about 2012, 2013. It was real rough in Colorado. We barely had enough work to make it work. And that was the hard part. The easy part was picking up the phone. The easy part was emailing. The easy part was texting. And those guys just could not figure that out. And a lot of other folks still haven't figured it out. I'd say the majority of people are still just really awful, bad communicators on the architecture and design and construction side of things. It's I don't know if it's I've learned through my own podcast and interviewing people and just talking with folks and just seeking to understand more about them that it's pretty, a lot of people have anxiety about it. A lot of people see a text, I'm understanding, and they feel an anxiety to once it like to respond to it, so they just don't. And I'm like, what? That seems kind of crazy to me. Like, isn't your anxiety relieved by answering the question or whatever? So, there's all these different walks of life, but that's honestly one of the most fundamental things. And so we have these 9 principles, right? There's F9 Productions. That's one of our company's names, as I mentioned. There's 9 principles. Number 4 is communicate. It's maybe it should be number 1. I don't know, but we have these principles that guide us, and I think if anybody goes and reads through them, if they're curious, you go look at a contrasting architect that competes against us in Colorado, and that's one of the things that separates us.
Well, something so basic is customer service, treating people with respect, returning phone calls, like you said, sometimes within the hour, or getting back to people. Those common courtesies, little hinges swing big doors.
Yeah,
Using
100%.
a metaphor from your industry. Yeah, it matters to treat people well, because oftentimes they'll forget a lot of the details, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Some people, though, you want them to remember how you made them feel, right? Because like there's 2% of clients who are just, you're never going to please. And it's like, is it my fault or is it theirs? I've got this couple right now that's just
Challenging
rubbing
you.
me. Oh God, that's a word to use. Sure. Challenging. They're challenging. Yeah. They seem to remember all the details. And I'm so,
Oh,
which is good and
okay.
bad. Yeah, but they remember them in their own way. So it makes things real difficult. Yeah.
Well, how about keeping things in writing to cover your tuchus?
Yeah. Yeah. Super, super important. I know sometimes I feel like I'm on the phone with folks and I need to, I've been contemplating doing it or not. And it's like, should I follow up with here's what we talked about on the phone? Do you agree? But at some
Oh, I
point
have
it's
to
like,
do that. I have
yeah,
to do that.
yeah,
Otherwise, they're going to say, you said this, said. And then the beauty of doing what we're doing, we're being recorded and there's a transcript. Record everything so you cover your butt. I think it's necessary, unfortunately, but it's necessary. A handshake doesn't go as far as it once did on agreeing to things. So tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, well, we started the firm in 2010, right? So, and then we got to 2017. We'd seen some success. We'd grown from at that point just 2 people, Alex and I, to I think maybe 5 or 6. We had a real office that we were leasing. We had been on television a few times with HGTV doing some pretty unique stuff. We'd won some awards. And it was like year 7, and everybody who knows business knows that most businesses fail within that first 7 years. That's a real, like, it's a statistic that's sort of beat into your head if you go to business school or have a good business acumen.
Sure.
So we got to year 7 and we went, oh man, we haven't failed yet. This is cool. We should tell our story. We're big podcast fans. We would listen, we just grew up listening to podcasts as guys in our early 20s. It's like, I kind of want to tell our story. I want people to, it would be great if more people picked up the entrepreneurial, flagpole and just ran with it, the baton. So we started Inside the Firm podcast in 2017, because that would have been year 7. And we basically went back in time in those first episodes and talked about how we started, how we did it, how you could do it too. And now, it's 8 years later, we're 700 plus episodes deep. Eventually we added a second show each week that is called Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. And I'll have folks like you on. I've had the late great John McAfee of McAfee Software on, folks like that in the business world, and we have these really interesting conversations in both regards. And that's the whole point of the podcast. It's not about and it's also like this amazing networking tool, as like we're doing right now, Mitch.
Exactly.
I just never know when I'm going to run into folks in real life that I've had on the show, that have had me on the show. I do a lot of guesting now. It's such a powerful tool. It makes you a better speaker because you hear yourself and you go, I want to get rid of the ands, or whatever.
Likes, right.
Yeah.
I want to say left to people. Yeah. One of my superpowers is I train public speakers on how to sell from the stage. It's a specialty area. And the most valuable feedback I can give somebody is record yourself and watch it and see yourself. You will learn much more than my coaching. You will self-coach. because
Yep,
you'll feel the
100%.
pain of saying or right, all these filler words that are unnecessary and
Yeah.
degrades your perceived intelligence.
Yeah. And as the young kids would say, it will make you cringe. You will see all the cringe and you will not want to be cringy anymore when you do that.
Very,
Alex and
very
I,
true.
yeah, Alex and I taught at CU Boulder for over a decade. And that one of the students would have to give two presentations, a midterm and a final for their design project.
Mhm.
And that's exactly the kind of advice we gave them too, Mitch, as we said, go record yourself and watch it and you'll change real quick because, you're your worst critic for sure. So I love that.
Well, and athletes, they have to look at footage.
Mm-hmm.
It's painful, but you learn from it because you get to zing yourself for mistakes. Why didn't I block that shot? Why didn't I shoot here? Why? Why did I make a misstep if you're climbing a mountain? I should have seen that. And then you will have that embedded to be better next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
100%.
it's a great vehicle. So if people want to get a hold of Lance Cayko, where do they go?
Oh man, go to LinkedIn. As I mentioned earlier, just type in LANCE, last name CAYKO. I will link in with anybody, especially through our network, Mitch. And if you want to check out everything on what we're doing, architecture, engineering, construction, all that good stuff, development, go to f9productions.com, sign up for our newsletter, and then by all means check out the podcast, insidethefirmpodcast.com, and last and certainly not least, go to Fishing with Lance, subscribe. We're almost up to 50,000 subscribers. We're a
Wow.
real, yeah, thank you. We're a real deal
Wow.
YouTuber at
I
this
know
point.
how hard that is to
hard.
get there. Oh my gosh, especially in a niche like that. That's fantastic. 50,000.
Thank you.
How long you been? Well, I can appreciate it because YouTube has been a challenge for me. I've been growing it slowly and gosh, I have
It's hard.
it's not easy. Yeah, I'm mostly focused on uploading the podcast episodes and creating shorts.
Mm-hmm.
Using a program called opus.pr, which extracts the shorts out of the long form videos. That seems to have helped bolstered. Oh, we could go on a tech journey about SEO for sure. Maybe another episode. Well, that's great. And I'm going to create, just so you know, I'm saying this on air, not off record, but we'll do that once we finalize here. I'm going to be producing a podcast summit coming up in the next few months. And I would love to invite you to share some of your secrets of producing a 7-year running podcast. That's no small feat because most podcasters quit after 8 episodes. I'm very much into numbers and looking at it. And it seems I'm going to ask this question. At what point did you realize I'm in for the long haul? How many episodes in?
100.
Okay, that is what
After we hit
I keep hearing that.
Do you? Okay, cool. Yeah, I had to.
And the stats
you saw me
support that
pause.
number. And 8 is where people quit. That's first wave.
Yeah.
They get to 8 episodes and they stop. First, I give accolades to anybody that does it because there's a lot to get into the process of at least doing it, uploading, setting it all up, buying the mics. But 8, they quit because, oh my gosh, there's a lot of work with editing and I got to pay, blah, blah, blah. Then 50 is the next benchmark. 100 is where people start to see they reap what they've sown.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's I want to just make sure I get this out though and say, even now, a little bird will whisper in my ear sometimes and say, should we quit? Because sometimes it's fruitless. And I'm not looking for like a monetary reward with it or anything like that. It's a slog. It's a slog sometimes, it's like even to go guest on shows, you're like, oh, another interview. Not this one, Mitch, because I got to see the rubber chicken. Of course.
Well, but you shared, let me tell you, you got the yellow chicken for entertainment. You get the green one because you mentioned the magic number of 100 podcasts is where you started to see the fruits of your labor. So you get the green one. And there are 2 different chickens. Not everybody gets the green one, Lance, but You truly came through for me today. That's why
I feel like it's going to be a lucky day now, Mitch.
you
It
got
has
the
to
green
be.
squeeze.
Oh my gosh.
And green is money.
Yes.
So may you have a profitable day as a result of being on this podcast. And I will chat with you after we conclude the show. I'd like to invite you to come and share your ideas and get more exposure on the summit that's coming up.
Cool. Sounds great.
All right. So go to LinkedIn, find Lance Cayko, Cayko. And if you're in the Colorado market and you want a man that'll call you back for him and his partner, something very basic but forgotten in today's service, Lance Cayko, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an amazing expert on Amazing Authorities podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to mitchcarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.